What is the role of government in addressing this whole issue of agriculture and
Right.
our future?
Yeah, key question. I believe that we are seeing across the country a kind of a conversation that's been going on for a long time, but it's really heated up recently about what is the proper role for government. Is there a role for government in our lives? Is there a role for government, say, in this food system I've been talking about? And the question I like to pose to those people who say, government out, government can do no good. What I like to say is, well, how do you feel about corporate control? How do you feel about companies controlling your lives? I don't feel too good about it. And right now, when we look at who has had the most say over what food is getting produced, what food is being sold to our kids, as a new mom, I think about this all the time. It's not the government, it's companies who are selling us on food that's not good for our bodies and not good for the planet. And so when I emphasize the urgent role that government needs to play in the food system, it's not because I believe in some big brother or some nanny state that should tell us what to do. I believe that a good government, a responsive government, is truly the voice of the people and actually protects us from corporate and private interests that don't have our interest at heart. And in fact, their only interest is meeting those quarterly returns to shareholders and increasing profit. And that's not proven to produce really good food. In fact, it's proven to produce some of the most high fat, high sugar, high salt, and climate intensive food we've ever seen on the planet. One of our biggest opportunities to really transform our food system in this country comes around every 5 years. It's called the Farm Bill. Most of us haven't probably heard about it. It really should be called the Food and Farm Bill because it affects everything about the food you see in your grocery store and what you can feed your families. And so in 2012, we have another opportunity to say what the government should do with our tax dollars and whether we want it to support food that is good for the soil, and food that's good for our bodies, food that's good for our climate, or whether we want it to continue to subsidize synthetic fertilizers and toxic chemicals. And I think the choice is pretty clear. And as a new mom with a 9-month-old, when I go out to my grocery stores looking for organic food that I know that's going to be really good for her tiny little body, and that I also know is going to be really good for the climate, I know that right now our tax dollars are not going to the kind of food that I want to feed my kids. And that in 2012, I have an opportunity, we all do, all Americans have an opportunity to have a voice in where our tax dollars go and whether they incentivize the good stuff or incentivize the wrong direction we shouldn't head. When I talk about sustainable food or organic food, a lot of people say, but Anna, that's so elitist of you, it's so expensive, it's so elitist. And I like to think of it a little bit differently. I like to say there is nothing more elitist than our current food system, a food system that in this country is shutting out nearly 40 million Americans who are food insecure, who don't have the confidence to know that they can feed their families. To me, what could be more elitist than a way of organizing our food that shuts that many people out? And what I like to say is there is nothing more democratic and more about really truly nourishing the earth and nourishing communities than turning away from an addiction to fossil fuels, an addiction to synthetic chemicals, and turning toward organic farming, which we know is good for farmers, good for farm workers, good for the earth, and good for all of us.